someone else has already pointed this out, but I have to admit when I first saw the theme for this show, and the words never again were there, it was hard for me to avoid that obvious, powerful phrase about the Holocaust. And my story is not about the Holocaust, it's about me dating a German woman. But for any Jewish people who happen to be in the audience, I'm on your side. In 1999, I had been living in Los Angeles about 13 years. I moved out here to be an actor. I'd had my ups and downs, but at this time there were a lot of downs. And pretty much the only thing that was like hanging my last claw on was I was doing children's theater at the Los Angeles Children's Museum in downtown. And so it was, I was I was also baristaing too, so I was keeping my head afloat a little bit, but it was kind of rough. And another thing I should tell you is I'm basically chronically never in a relationship. And when I am in one, it's usually a woman who's from another country. I don't know what that says about me. But actually I kind of do, and it's not good. It says that I basically think the only thing I have to offer is a working knowledge of the English language. So I'm working at the Children's Museum, and one day this kind of striking woman comes in, this young woman, and she's got a German accent. And I'm like, you're just freaking up, right? So we start talking a little bit. It turns out, she's really like go-getter. She created her own internship. She came and paid her own way and all this stuff. And she lived in Venice. I lived in Santa Monica. And eventually we started like riding into work together. And she was so like, I was just weary of LA, but she was like, let's go on hikes in Malibu. And she was always like, praising like the skyline and stuff. She just loved LA and then going to the beach in Venice. Stuff that I had long since just like let go of. But it was really exciting to have someone to do this stuff too and to kind of like see LA with fresh eyes. And then one day she went to my improv show. And afterwards she was like, oh Steve, you were so good, I just loved you singing on the stage. And she's like, she changed my opinion on me. And she was saying she fell in love with me after this improv show. So things like accelerated quickly. She moved out of her Venice place into my Santa Monica place. My Santa Monica place was this single. It was very tiny, but it was like the coolest place in the world. The guy before me had designed it. So it was completely efficient, and it had like the bed was 8 feet up in the air, and you had to get a ladder to get there. But there was something kind of romantic about that, actually. Like once you're up there, right? And so things were going pretty fast and pretty good. But over time, I started realizing there were some downsides to this person. One was no oral sex. That was a problem. I don't know about you, but that's usually one of the top reasons to get into a relationship. And actually, she didn't have a problem with oral sex. She didn't mind getting it. She just didn't like giving it. That should have been a dead giveaway. Two, one time, like during pillow talk, she starts calling me Stevie. She's like, hello, Stevie. And I'm like, you know what, just so you know, I'm the youngest of 8 children. All my brothers and sisters and their friends used to call me Stevie. And I don't know, I got like a thing about it, just kind of, I got a short fuse there, and I don't like being called Steve. Stick to Steve. But then she starts just doing it, like on purpose, just to piss me off, and I really like kind of had a bad reaction. So finally she understood that I didn't like being called Stevie. And then she came up with her own nickname for me. She started calling me Stevchen. Stevchen. It took me months to figure out Stevchen is German for Stevie. Anyway, so things were going along great. We started talking like, I have to do some other things too. She was like, she just kind of didn't give a shit about me. Like one time we were at the beach and I was like, oh man, I got a really sore neck. My neck, something's wrong with it. And she like put me in a headlock. And I was like, what are you doing? Anyway, then we started talking about marriage and stuff. We were talking about marriage and kids. And then She goes, oh, and if we have a boy, his name will be Raphael. I'm like, Raphael Brady? And then she's like, why does he have to be a Brady? So there were a lot of signs. There were a lot of things that I was realizing I guess I would have to give in this relationship. Then her parents came to town, and her parents were very sweet, but I remember her mother saying to me, oh, I like Americans, as if like that was some huge progressive step. Anyway, things moved along quickly. She moved back to Germany, and then we started talking on the phone. I was like, and she said she had insisted early in the relationship that if she married an American, he would have to live in Germany to know her country before she would marry him. So I called her and I said, what do you think if I moved to Germany and like we'll do the plan? And she was super excited about it. And then over the weeks, I started getting a little nervous about whether this was a good idea. But she was like, no, Stephen, it's a good idea, Stephen, you have to come, Stephen. So I had that apartment in Santa Monica was $400 a month at California 18th. Gave her my job, I sold all my stuff, I sold everything. Get the flight, I get to Berlin. She meets me at the airport, she's like, not happy to see me. I'm like, hey. And we got back to her apartment and she goes, I don't think this is a good idea. And so I spent a couple weeks in Spain just because I was over there, and then I came home and... Oh, one last thing. When I got home, about 2 weeks later, she sent me a postcard. It was like a California postcard, but she said, Stephen, maybe we can go to California and walk on the beach together. I never returned that call. I never returned that thing. But I will say this, I really miss being called Steve Yen. All right.